Hello again, everyone. Welcome to a very stormy day. It's actually been a very stormy week. In fact, I have just a few hours in between some pretty severe weather to get this filmed, so I ran out here really quick. Today, I just wanted to share a few of my favorite garden products that I think are a little bit different or unique outside of the normal things like pruners and hand spades. Links to all of these products will be in the description box below, with the exception of the few that are homemade. This first one, I don't know if it's so much unique as it is just cool. I feel like such a garden baddie every single time I use this, but this is a Hori Hori knife and it's from Gardener's Supply Company. Hori Hori knives just have so many uses in the garden. You can use it for digging holes for transplanting, for digging up weeds. Me personally, I mainly use it for harvesting vegetables with thick stems like cabbage, broccoli, heading lettuce. And this one just has such good quality. It has a really good weight to it. I love the wooden handle. I love that you have a straight edge and a serrated edge, so if you're looking for a Hori Hori knife, I really recommend this one. This next one, I don't even know if it has an official name. I just call it a garden tape tool, but I purchased it off Amazon, and it's just a really fast, easy way for securing plants to supports or support lines. In the past, I've used things like twine or twist ties to tie plants to supports, but this is just a lot faster. And I guess the downside is you do have to refill the tape and the staples, but it did come with plenty of refills in the box. Another thing I've been using it for this year is I've been using it to mark or identify stems that I need to prune later. In the early spring, I will also use these to tag the floricanes on things like my summer raspberries and my blackberries, because later in the summer, after they're done fruiting, I will prune those. But sometimes when all the new primocanes are coming up, it can be really difficult to tell which cane is which. So this is an easy way for me to identify them and helps make pruning a lot easier. These next two are really cool. They're mini versions of larger equipment you may use in the garden. So if you have trouble lifting heavy things, or you just have some smaller jobs and you don't want to pay the money for the full size versions of these are really great options. And both of these are made by Saker. This first one is a cordless 4-inch electric chainsaw. It has a rechargeable 20-volt lithium-ion battery, and we've had this for about a year, and it has been well used and well loved by me, several of my family members, and several of my neighbors. And this is basically just taken the place of pruning shears for me. It's great for things that are too big for lobbers, so we've mainly been using it on some tree branches and some shrubs, mainly for branches that are anywhere from 3 to 5 inches in width. You probably wouldn't want to use it on anything bigger than that because, again, it is a smaller version of a chainsaw, but it is great for those smaller pruning jobs at home. This next one is a newer one for me, but it is now my favorite gardening tool. I have been using it so much in the last few weeks. It's a cordless hedge trimmer and grass shearer. You have two attachments, both are made with SK5 carbon steel. So you have your hedge trimmer here, and this is what the garden shears look like. And it's really easy to change out these attachments. They just snap off and on like this. These grass shearers are perfect for getting in those tight places that your edger can't get to. We have a place between our retaining wall and our fence where the grass gets really high because the edger's too big to fit in between, and this has worked perfectly. I've been using the hedge trimmer to do some light shaping of my arborvitaes and boxwoods. And overall, this worked pretty well. I did have a little bit of trouble on some of those thicker boxwood stems, so if you have a heavy pruning job, you might be better off with a full-size trimmer, but just for that light sort of midsummer shaping on shrubs, this worked great. And another great thing, it weighs just over 2 pounds. I have some neck issues. I have a really hard time holding up that full-size trimmer for long periods of time, especially when I'm having to hold it high. This also was really easy to use for my 14-year-old son. I'm training him how to prune some shrubs, and I felt a lot better about having him learn on this than I would my full-size trimmer. And speaking of safety features, it has overheating protection and it has a safety release button so you don't accidentally turn it on. This next one is great for those of you that home compost. This is the Compost Crank. Now this one was a little bit of an investment, but to me it was well worth it because not only did it increase the quality of compost that I could make, it also increased the speed at which I could make compost. So in between those big compost flips, this allows me to aerate that compost, and when you aerate compost, it'll break down a lot faster. Also, if you compost in a partially enclosed or a tighter container, this is a lot easier to get in and kind of move things around than using something like a pitchfork or a shovel. This also works really well for mixing in soil amendments. These next two are DIYs, and unfortunately I don't have any plans to share because we really just searched online and kind of pieced together things that we liked from different projects to make exactly what we wanted. But I'll show you both of them in case you're inspired to create your own. This first one is a compost sifter, and I actually had a friend make this for me, and it's made from 1/2-inch hardware cloth, 2x3s, and handles. And this has been fairly multi-purpose. I mainly use it for sifting my compost. I like really fine compost in my vegetable garden, so this is great for kind of sifting out those larger unfinished pieces. It's also really great for rinsing off vegetables that I've just harvested, but also because it sits off the ground a little bit and gets some good airflow underneath. It's been really great for drying flower heads if I want to collect some seed, and for curing things like onions, garlic, and potatoes. This next one's pretty big, and it's currently being used in my unfinished basement, so let's go inside. Okay, tight space and not the best lighting, but this is my curing rack. We built this last year and I absolutely love it. I use it for curing mostly onions and garlic, and we made it with 2x4s and chicken wire. And my favorite thing is we put some bolts on the side so it can actually swivel up and down, so I can store this completely vertical if I need to, which means it saves a lot of space when it's not in use. And we decided to go with chicken wire because it gives me two options. For things like onions that have kind of smaller leaf sets on top, I can actually stick them through the holes in the chicken wire and have the leaves kind of hanging down underneath of it. Or for things that have thicker stems like garlic, I can just sort of lay them on top. And using something like chicken wire is going to give you a lot of airflow underneath, which is great when you're curing vegetables. And that's it. Thanks so much for joining me today as I shared some fun but also very useful garden tools. Again, all of these links will be in the description box below, as well as links to my other social media accounts where I post frequent, easy to follow videos that are aimed at helping beginner gardeners. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.